Welcome to Spirited Investigations and welcome to the Ghosts of Minnesota, a collection of spooky locations and events from history in the land of 10,000 lakes. This list of 10 is part of a playlist of gentle listening, ghostly collections from across the USA. The screen will fade to black so you can enjoy the stories without distractions if studying or relaxing. Please do consider a like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Our first tale takes us deep into the northern wilderness, where the legend of the Wendigo lurks. This creature, rooted in Native American Algonquin folklore, is said to be a 15-foot tall monster with glowing eyes, long fangs, and a snake-like tongue. The Wendigo is believed to be a human who, after resorting to cannibalism, may transform into this beast, forever cursed with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. In December of 1897, the St. Paul Globe of Minnesota reported that a Native American woman living in the Berens River Reserve of Manitoba had contracted typhoid fever, the effects of which had caused her to act strangely. Her husband thought she was becoming a Wendigo, so he grabbed her by her hair and broke her neck. He was arrested for murder. It is evidently a powerful legend, at least in native culture, and must be based on something to form such strong beliefs. For number 2, we visit the Schmidt Brewery in St. Paul. The original brewery, North Star Brewing, opened in 1855 and was carved into the rock, with ales stored in a man-made cave. The cave opening is still visible today at the bottom of the bluffs. People report cold breezes emanating on hot days and eerie sounds coming from within. In 1900, when Jacob Schmidt took over and changed the name of the brewery to Schmidt Brewing, a fire engulfed the building and burnt it to the ground. Bad luck surrounded him, so it seems. When 2 men were shot at by a man wearing a pink shirt, police interviewed him and he denied any involvement, even though he was wearing a pink shirt. The hauntings of the Schmidt Brewery come from workers who died in horrendous and mysterious ways. In 1896, an explosion killed 2 people. In 1902, a cooper fell to his death in an unmarked elevator shaft. People are rumoured to hear a man shouting as if he was falling in the middle of the day. Just 2 years later, another questionable death happened. Matthew Kohler, whose job was to light the gas lamps in the brewery, reportedly spilled oil on himself, set himself on fire and was burned alive. Paranormal investigators have caught him on recordings, saying his name is Matt and he's a fireman. He's the most active haunting at the brewery. For number 3, we have the Jonathan Paddleford steamboat on the Mississippi River and registered to the port of St. Paul. Paddleford seems like such a great name for that type of boat. Anyway, it's haunted by a man who climbed up to the top of the pilot house, then fell into the river and drowned. Several visitors and staff have reported seeing the man climb and fall on several occasions. They'll hear footsteps, a scream, and a large splash when no one is around. Next, at number 4, we take a little sidetrack into a UFO story, but one of the most famous cases and why I've decided to include it. We head to Marshall County, where Police Deputy Val Johnson had an out-of-this-world experience in 1979. While on patrol, Johnson encountered a bright light in the road ahead. As he approached, the light reportedly entered his vehicle, striking him, as he said, like a 200-pound pillow. Johnson woke up in a ditch 30 minutes later with burns around his eyes, a smashed windshield, and a bent radio antenna. Both his wristwatch and dashboard clock had stopped for 14 minutes. The incident remains one of the most well-known UFO encounters in modern lore, so if you're driving late at night in Minnesota and see a bright light ahead, maybe brace yourself for impact. At the halfway point of our list, number 5, we travel to Minneapolis' iconic First Avenue music venue, which was once the Greyhound bus depot. The location is where musician Prince filmed the movie Purple Rain. At that time, the club was called First Avenue and 7th Street Club. A shout out to my wife Julie for the Prince information. One ghost of the famous venue is a blonde lady who can be found in stall 5 of the women's restrooms. She hung herself in the bathroom when the building was still a bus station after finding out her husband wouldn't be coming back from World War II. A woman reported that she heard a girl crying in one of the stalls in the bathroom when she was one of the only people in the club. When she told the bartender about it, he said they were the only people there. The reports of the blonde woman have been ongoing since the 1980s, with twists being that she's sometimes seen in military-type green trousers or a green jacket. First Avenue also has the sounds of footsteps and whispers in empty rooms. To round things out, DJs playing vinyl used to watch the record player arm start bouncing around the album for no reason, and even today's digital music makers have heard moans and groans in their headphones that definitely weren't part of the music. For number 6, we'll visit Henderson, where a seemingly ordinary bridge harbours a tragic tale. Locals call it Crazy Annie's Bridge, named after a World War I widow who, according to legend, went crazy and drowned her 3 children in the creek outside the house. Then she took her own life by hanging herself from a nearby tree. The house is gone, but the tree still stands. If you visit after 11 p.m, you may hear anguished cries. Your car might malfunction with just static coming from the radio, and you may find handprints have appeared on your car's bodywork. Next, at number 7, we venture to the woods near Vergas in Otter Tail County, where tales of the hairy man have been circulating since the 1960s. Described as an 8-foot-tall, barefoot creature with long, straggly hair and musty odour, the hairy man is blamed for mysterious animal deaths and has been spotted by numerous locals. It all sounds very much like a Bigfoot phenomena, but in the 1960s and 70s, some claimed it to have been an old hermit who lived in the woods and wasn't keen on kids wandering on his land. One notable encounter involved a man named Ken Zhao, who claimed the creature jumped in front of his car and pounded on the hood, leaving dents. Number 8 takes us to Centerville, where there's a grave that's certainly not a typical plot with a stone marker on top. It's sealed with metal bars. Legend has it that a warlock is buried there, and the bars were installed to prevent his dark magic from escaping. Visitors often report an eerie feeling near the grave as if they're being watched. So if you find yourself in Centerville Cemetery and feel a sudden chill, it might not just be the Minnesota weather. At number 9 is Grey Cloud Island, which was named after a Dakota Native American woman. This place is steeped in history and mystery, and not just because the island is home to ancient burial mounds. It features what are known as whispering rocks, low-volume whispering voices carrying ancient wisdom, so it's believed. There's a grey lady on the island, a spectral figure of a woman whose life ended under mysterious circumstances. She's said to roam the island's shores. More reports of mysterious green lights hovering above the ground, and even a translucent man in a flannel shirt holding a hunting rifle. And finally, we have the Glensheen Mansion. The Glensheen Mansion in Duluth is one of the most haunted places in Minnesota, built over 3 years in the early 1900s and containing 39 rooms. The mansion is a popular tourist attraction and somewhere where I myself have had an experience several years ago. I'll get to that in a moment. First, a bit of history. In 1977, a double murder happened in the Glensheen Mansion's halls. A man broke into the house and killed a nurse on the grand stairway with a candlestick. Then the man went upstairs and smothered the elderly heiress owner with her own pillow. The man, who admitted to the murders, served only 5 years in prison. People report hearing strange noises on the staircase and seeing objects move in the heiress's bedroom. As to my own story, well, it was a family trip to Glensheen, and we were on the mansion tour upstairs. While walking, someone grabbed my right shoulder and I spun around, but the only person in range was Julie's uncle, and he was looking the other way at a painting on the wall. Well, you might be able to hear the rain behind. It's now storming. But that wraps up our journey through Minnesota's mysterious legends. From spectral full-body sightings to unseen hands, there's no shortage of spine-tingling tales. Thanks for joining me on this spooky ride, and I hope you'll join me for the next one. Until then, keep your eyes wide open and your hot dish warm.